The spaceport cafe was busy, filled with strange sounds and glowing lights. Aliens of many shapes and colors moved around, speaking in voices that echoed like music. At one corner table, a human sat alone, sipping a warm drink and watching the crowd. His name was Daniel, an explorer who had traveled to many stars, but he had never seen a place quite like this. The air smelled of spice and metal, and machines hummed in the background. Daniel liked observing quietly, blending in with the noise. But today, something different was waiting for him, something he could not expect. She appeared without warning, stepping out of the crowd like a shadow that suddenly had form. A girl, though not human, her skin soft and pale blue, her eyes glowing like small suns. Strange silver marks ran down her arms as if they were written into her flesh. She walked straight toward him, ignoring the whispers of others. When she stopped in front of his table, the cafe grew silent. And then, in a voice clear and sharp, she asked the strangest question he had ever heard. "Can you give it again in my mouth?" The words fell into the air like a stone into still water. Ripples of shock spread through the cafe. Every alien turned to look, their eyes wide with disbelief. Daniel froze, his drink halfway to his lips, his mind spinning. He thought he had misheard, but the girl's glowing eyes never blinked, never moved away from him. He laughed nervously, trying to brush it off. I think you have the wrong person," he said, but the girl tilted her head, studying him with a strange hunger in her eyes. "No," she whispered. "I watched you. I know what you carry. I know what you gave before, and I want it again in my mouth." Daniel's heart pounded. He had no idea what she was talking about. He was an explorer, not a trader, not a scientist carrying rare items. What does she possibly mean? Food? Drink? Medicine? Or something far darker? The silence in the cafe pressed around him like heavy air. No one moved. No one spoke. All eyes waited for his answer. He leaned back slowly, his chair creaking. "Listen," he said, keeping his voice calm. "I don't know what you mean. Maybe this is a mistake." But inside, he felt something was very wrong. There was a tension in the air, as if danger itself had walked in with her. The girl stepped closer, her hands trembling, but her voice firm. "You must understand," she said. "Humans have something special, something no other race has. I felt it when I first saw you breathe, and I cannot let it go." Her words cut through him, sending chills down his spine. Breathe? What did she mean by that? Daniel's mind raced, trying to piece together her strange message. It sounded impossible, but her voice carried such conviction. She truly believed he held something powerful, something hidden inside him, and she wanted it so badly that she would demand it in public, without fear. The crowd began to murmur, whispers floating like smoke. Some aliens looked afraid, others looked angry. A group of tall guards in black armor entered the cafe doors, their glowing visors scanning the room. Daniel noticed the girl's body tense, her glowing eyes flicking toward the guards. She seemed afraid of them, though she tried to hide it. "Please," she begged softly now, her voice breaking the silence again. "Give it before they take me away. I need it." Her words carried desperation, like a drowning soul asking for air. Daniel swallowed hard, his throat dry. He had no idea what she meant, no idea what giving it would even mean. But he knew one thing for certain. The situation was growing dangerous fast. The guards moved closer, pushing through the crowd. The cafe customers backed away, clearing a path. Daniel could feel the pressure of their heavy steps shaking the floor. The girl suddenly grabbed his wrist, her skin cold but burning with strange energy. "Do not let them take me," she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "You are the only one who can save me." Daniel froze, torn between confusion and instinct. He wanted to pull away, to leave, but something about her voice, her desperation, made him hesitate. The cafe lights flickered, the hum of machines grew louder, and the guard shadows fell across their table. The alien girl leaned closer, her glowing eyes locked on his, her breath trembling against his cheek. "Please," she said one last time, "can you give it again in my mouth?" And in that moment, Daniel realized two things. First, whatever she wanted, it was not something simple like food or drink. It was something deeper, something that frightened even the powerful guards chasing her. Second, he was already caught in her mystery. Whether he wanted to or not, his life had just changed forever. The guards reached out, and the cafe erupted in chaos. But the question, the strange, impossible question, remained, echoing in his mind like a haunting bell. What did she really want from him? The chaos of the cafe still echoed in Daniel's ears. He ran with the alien girl through the glowing streets, neon lights flashing across their faces. Behind them, the guards shouted in a language he did not understand, heavy boots pounding against the stone road. The girl's hand gripped his wrist with surprising strength, pulling him through narrow alleys where shadows swallowed the light. They ducked into a passage, breathless, hiding behind a tall machine that hissed with steam. Daniel pressed his back against the metal, his chest rising and falling fast. He looked at her, confused, angry, and afraid. "What do you want from me?" he asked, his voice low but sharp. "What was that question? Why are they chasing you?" Her glowing eyes searched his face, trembling with a strange mix of fear and wonder. "You don't understand yet," she whispered, "but I will show you. Humans carry something inside them, something my people have tried to capture for centuries, but failed." Daniel frowned, sweat dripping down his temple. "This is crazy," he muttered. "I don't even know you, and you're talking like I'm carrying treasure in my blood." The girl leaned closer, her silver markings glowing faintly in the dark. "You are," she said, her voice steady now. "Treasure, yes, but not gold, not metal, not things your ships can carry. What you hold is different. What you hold is life itself." Daniel felt his skin crawl, the words too heavy, too strange. He wanted to walk away, leave her, but something in her eyes pulled him back. There was desperation there, but also deep curiosity, like she had touched a mystery that could change everything. "You asked me that thing in the cafe," Daniel said, his voice rough. "What did you mean? Explain it." The girl hesitated, looking down at her trembling hands. "My people do not breathe as you do. We survive, but we do not live. Our voices are hollow. Our hearts are cold. We try to copy humans, but we could never create your spark." She lifted her eyes, glowing brighter now. "I saw it when you exhaled, when your breath touched the air. It was not just air, it was something more, and I want to taste it, to feel it inside me." Daniel blinked, stunned. She wasn't talking about food or water or even technology. She was talking about something impossible, something invisible, the very essence of being human. Before he could speak, a light swept across the alley. The guards were close, scanning the shadows with their glowing visors. The girl pressed a finger to her lips, pulling Daniel deeper into the passage. They moved through narrow tunnels that twisted like a maze, every step echoing with tension. As they walked, Daniel kept glancing at her. Her movements were graceful, almost too graceful, like she wasn't running but gliding. And yet, her grip on his hand trembled with real fear. She needed him, but he still didn't know why. Finally, they stopped inside a dark chamber filled with old carvings on the walls. Symbols glowed faintly, like memories of fire. "This place is safe," she whispered, "at least for a while." Daniel crossed his arms, glaring at her. "Enough. Tell me the truth. Who are you, and why me?" She looked at the carvings instead of him, tracing the lines with her glowing fingers. "My name is Alira," she said softly, "and I am not supposed to speak with you. My kind would punish me for even touching you." She turned back to him, eyes fierce now. "But I don't care. I have seen humans do things no other species can, survive in places no one else can, fight with fire in their eyes. Even when death is certain, I need to understand why. I need to know what makes you different." Daniel stared at her, silent. She wasn't begging now. She wasn't afraid. She was curious, dangerously curious. And for some reason, her curiosity felt heavier than the guards chasing them. It felt like the kind of curiosity that could change worlds. Alira stepped closer, her voice dropping low. You think you're ordinary, human, but you are not. Your kind carries something unseen, something more valuable than any weapon, more powerful than any machine. Her eyes burned brighter, and I will find out what it is, even if it means the end of me. The silence between them was heavy. Daniel's heart thumped in his chest, not just from fear, but from the weight of her words. He wanted to deny it, to call her insane, but deep down, he felt a small shiver of truth. Humans had always survived, always endured, even when the galaxy laughed at their weakness. Maybe there really was something hidden inside them. Before he could respond, a sound echoed through the tunnels. The guard's heavy boots getting closer. Alira looked at him, her eyes fierce with determination. They will take me soon, but before they do, I need one thing. Give it to me, human. Let me taste what makes you different. Her words struck him like lightning. The same impossible request, but now filled with meaning. She wasn't just asking for survival. She was asking for the secret of humanity. And Daniel realized this was no accident. She had chosen him for a reason. The tunnels grew colder as Daniel followed Alira deeper into the hidden paths. The walls pulsed faintly with strange light, as if the stone itself was alive. Whispers echoed through the air, not from voices, but from the walls themselves. Every step made Daniel feel as if unseen eyes were watching. This was no ordinary hiding place. It was something older, something sacred. Alira moved ahead with steady steps, her silver markings glowing brighter in the dark. She didn't look back, but her voice carried softly. These tunnels were built long before my people could walk the stars. They hold the truth that was buried, the truth my kind has tried to erase. Daniel frowned, his boots scraping against the stone. What truth? He asked, his voice sharp but low. You keep talking in riddles. If I'm risking my life here, I want answers. Alira finally turned, her glowing eyes locking onto his. You will not like the answers, she said, her voice calm, but you must hear them. She raised her hand and touched one of the carvings on the wall. The symbols flared with sudden light, bathing the chamber in a soft blue glow. Images spread across the stone, moving like a living painting. Daniel stared, breath caught in his chest. He saw figures, alien figures like Alira's, but thinner, weaker, their eyes hollow. They reached for something in the air, something invisible, but it slipped away. Then another figure appeared, different, strange. It was human. The image showed the human breathing, and as the air left his mouth, golden light filled the chamber. Alira's voice trembled as she spoke. My people tried for centuries to capture this, to create it, but every attempt failed. We could build ships, weapons, machines, but not this, never this. She touched the glowing golden breath in the carving, her fingers shaking. This is what we call the forbidden spark. It is what lives inside you, human. Daniel stepped closer, staring at the image. It looked impossible, but it carried a truth that sank deep into him. The golden light was not fire, not energy, not something science could explain. It was something pure, something alive. And the aliens in the carving fell to their knees before it, desperate to touch it. His throat went dry. You're saying, what? That humans breathe magic? The word sounded foolish even as he said it. But Alira shook her head slowly, her eyes steady. Not magic life, pure life. No other race has in the same way. Not even close. That is why we envy you, why we fear you, why we hide this truth. Daniel shook his head, disbelief mixing with fear. If what she said was true, then humanity carried something no other race could understand. Something powerful enough to be hidden, forbidden, and feared. But if that was true, then why reveal it to him? Why now? Alira stepped closer, her voice lowering to a whisper. My people will call me a traitor for telling you this. They will hunt me until I vanish. But I cannot stop myself. I need to know what it feels like. I need to taste this spark, even if it destroys me. Daniel backed away slightly, his chest tightening. You're asking me to give you something I don't even understand, he said, his voice shaking. What if it hurts you? What if it kills me? Her eyes burned brighter, filled with both fear and desire. Then we will both know the truth, and that is worth any price. The carvings on the walls pulsed faster, as if reacting to their voices. The whispers grew louder, almost chanting, filling the chamber with an eerie rhythm. Daniel felt the air grow heavy, his lungs struggling as though the chamber itself was testing him. Alira stepped closer, her lips parting, her eyes never leaving his. Do you see now? She whispered. This is why I asked you, why I begged you. I want the forbidden spark. Give it to me. Let me feel what it means to be human. Daniel's pulse raced, sweat cold on his skin. For the first time, he realized this wasn't just about curiosity. This was ritual. This was history. This was a hunger that had lived inside her kind for generations. And he, a simple explorer, had stumbled right into the middle of it. The chamber shuddered suddenly, dust falling from the ceiling. The guards were close now, their voices echoing through the tunnels. Alira grabbed Daniel's hand tightly, her glowing marks burning brighter against his skin. Choose, human, she hissed. Before they come, choose whether to give me the spark or let it die with you. Daniel's heart thundered, his mind torn apart by fear, confusion, and something deeper he could not name. He looked at her glowing eyes, filled with desperation and fire. And for the first time, he wondered if she was right. Maybe humans really did carry something forbidden, something the galaxy itself could not deny. The ground trembled as heavy boots thundered through the tunnels. The glow of armored visors swept across the walls like hunting eyes. Daniel felt his breath catch, each inhale louder than the silence. Alira's grip tightened, her cold fingers burning against his skin. They are close, she whispered, her voice sharp with fear. We must move now. She pulled him down a narrow path where the stone dripped with moisture. The walls closed in, pressing against their shoulders as they ran. Behind them, the voices of the guards grew louder, metal clashing, commands echoing. Daniel's heart raced, his footsteps stumbling on the uneven floor. Where are we even going? He hissed. Anywhere they cannot find us, Alira answered, her eyes glowing brighter to light the path. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber filled with broken machines. Strange alien technology lay scattered like bones, wires dangling, gears twisted. It looked abandoned, forgotten by time. But the silence inside was wrong. It felt alive, watching, waiting. Daniel slowed, his eyes darting around. Safe? He muttered, but Alira shook her head. Not safe, hidden, she replied. Safe does not exist anymore. A harsh beam of light swept across the chamber entrance. The guards had arrived, tall shadows filling the doorway. Their voices were cold and mechanical. Target located, surrender the traitor. Alira's eyes widened, her markings flaring like fire. She dragged Daniel behind a row of broken machines. Stay low, she whispered, her voice trembling. They cannot have me. Not before I know the truth. Daniel crouched beside her, his heart hammering. The guards split into groups, moving like predators, scanning the chamber with long spears of light. One passed so close Daniel could hear the hiss of its breathing machine. He held his breath, every muscle in his body frozen. The guard stopped, tilting its head as if it had sensed something. Then it moved on, vanishing into the shadows. Alira leaned close, her whisper brushing his ear. Do you see how far they will go? Do you see what your spark means? They fear it more than they fear death. Daniel turned to her, whispering back. Then why drag me into this? I didn't ask for any of it. Her glowing eyes locked onto his, fierce even in the darkness. Because you were chosen by chance, and chance is often the hand of fate. Suddenly, a metallic clang echoed across the chamber. One of the machines had shifted under the weight of a guard's step. The sound roared like thunder in the silence. Every visor turned toward their hiding place, beams of light cutting through the shadows. "Run!" Aelira hissed, grabbing Daniel's hand. They bolted, weaving between the skeletal remains of old machines. The guards fired, beams of energy cracking against the stone, shattering walls into sparks. Daniel stumbled but kept moving, his lungs burning, his legs screaming. The shadows twisted as they ran, narrow passages opening and closing like a living maze. Aelira led him into a shaft that slanted upward. The air grew colder, the ground slick with condensation. Above them, faint light glimmered a way out. But the guards were not far, their footsteps like thunder in the tunnel. One shouted something in a guttural voice, and an explosion rocked the shaft. The ceiling shook, dust and stone raining down. Daniel slipped, falling hard, but Aelira pulled him up before he could stop. "Keep moving," she cried. "If they catch us, everything ends." At last they burst into open air. The night sky stretched wide above them, filled with stars and two pale moons. The city loomed below, glowing towers rising like jagged teeth. Daniel stumbled to his knees, gasping for breath. But there was no time to rest. The guards were already climbing from the shaft, their weapons glowing. Aelira raised her hand, her silver markings blazing with light. The air around her shimmered, a thin barrier of energy forming between them and the hunters. The guards struck against it, their weapons sparking against the shield. But Daniel could see the strain in her face, the shaking in her arms. The shield would not hold for long. She turned to him, her voice sharp, urgent, desperate. "Now you must understand," she said, "they're not after me alone. They're after what you carry, your breath, your spark, the thing that makes you human. They would drain it from you until nothing remains." Daniel's chest tightened, his body trembling. It was madness, impossible. And yet, he believed her. The way the guards fought, the way they feared, it all pointed to one truth. Humanity had something they could not control, something they wanted to bury. The shield cracked, glowing shards scattering like glass. Aelira fell to her knees, exhausted. The guards raised their weapons for the final strike. Daniel stood frozen, his mind screaming. And in that instant, he realized that running would never be enough. The shadows would always chase him now, because the forbidden spark was inside him, and the galaxy had just declared war on it. The shield collapsed with a final crack of light. Shards of glowing energy scattered into the night air like broken stars. The guards stepped forward, their weapons raised, their visors glowing with cold fire. Daniel pulled Aelira to her feet, his chest burning with fear and anger. "Where do we go now?" he asked, his voice raw. She shook her head slowly, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "There is no more running," she whispered, "only choosing." Before the guards could strike, the ground beneath them shook. Stone gave way, collapsing into a hidden passage below. Daniel and Aelira fell through the darkness, their bodies tumbling. They landed hard on a cold floor, deep beneath the surface. The sound of the guards faded above, distant but still hunting. Daniel groaned, pushing himself up. They were inside another chamber, this one larger than the last. Ancient carvings spread across the walls, glowing faintly in gold. The air was heavy, alive, as if the chamber itself was breathing. Aelira rose to her knees, her eyes wide with awe. "This is it," she whispered, "the place of the first exchange." Daniel frowned, brushing dust from his jacket. "The first what?" he asked, though part of him already feared the answer. Aelira turned to face him, her silver markings glowing brighter than ever. "My ancestors found humans long ago by accident, and in this chamber, one of them breathed upon us. The first spark was given, but it was taken away, forbidden, erased from our history. Now, I am here to take it back." Her words cut into him, heavy as stone. Daniel shook his head, disbelief warring with dread. "You want me to breathe on you?" he asked, his voice low, uncertain. Aelira stepped closer, her movements slow, almost reverent. "Yes," she said, her eyes shining, "but not just breath. I want what lies within it, the essence, the part of you that cannot be copied, cannot be stolen, only given. Daniel's skin crawled, his throat dry. It felt wrong. It felt dangerous. But at the same time, something deep inside him stirred, as if the chamber itself was whispering to him, urging him to choose. He glanced at the walls, the glowing carvings showing scenes of humans standing among aliens, golden light flowing from their mouths like rivers. The aliens knelt before them, transformed, alive in a way they had never been. Alira's voice trembled now, her curiosity breaking into desperation. "Please," she said, "I've lived my whole life empty, watching, wondering. I need to know if the spark is real, if it can live in me, even for a moment. Give it to me, Daniel. Give me the forbidden spark." His name on her lips shook him more than the guards, more than the carvings. It was not just curiosity anymore. It was hunger. It was hope. He stared at her glowing eyes, wide with need, and he realized she would not stop, not until she knew. Daniel took a slow step forward, his breath unsteady. "If I do this," he whispered, "what happens to me?" Alira held his gaze, her voice soft as a prayer. "You will lose nothing, human, but I will gain everything." The silence stretched, heavy, filled with the sound of their breathing. Daniel felt his chest tighten, every breath louder, heavier. Alira leaned closer, her lips parting, her eyes closing. The chamber walls flared with golden light, as if waiting for this very moment. His breath trembled on his lips, the choice burning in his chest. Finally, Daniel exhaled. A soft stream of air passed between them, glowing faintly gold in the chamber's light. It touched her lips, and she inhaled deeply. Her body shuddered, her silver markings blazing like fire across her skin. Her eyes flew open, glowing brighter than the moons above. And then silence. She stood frozen, her chest rising and falling, her body trembling. Then slowly, a smile spread across her lips, tears glowing in her eyes. "I feel it," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Warmth, life, fire. This is what it means to be human." Daniel stepped back, his heart pounding. The chamber's walls pulsed with golden light, as if celebrating the exchange. But in the shadows, he thought he heard something else. The echo of footsteps, the whisper of voices not their own. The guards had found another way in, and they had witnessed what was never meant to be seen. The golden light still swirled inside the chamber. It pulsed with every beat of Alira's heart, glowing brighter with each breath she took. Daniel stared at her, frozen, unable to believe what he had just seen. Her skin shimmered, her silver markings burned like rivers of fire, and her eyes shone like two small suns. She was no longer the same girl who had begged him in the cafe. The air vibrated, a low hum filling the chamber. The carvings on the walls shifted, glowing with new patterns. Symbols that had been silent for centuries now moved like living fire. Daniel's chest tightened, as though the chamber itself was alive, watching the transformation. And in that silence, Alira whispered, her voice trembling but full of awe. "It is true. The spark is real. I carry it now." Her voice was not the same. It was deeper, resonant, filled with an echo that did not belong to her alone. Daniel stepped back, fear rising in his chest. What's happening to you?" he asked, his voice breaking. Alira lifted her hands, staring at the light that danced along her skin. "I am becoming," she said softly. "I am more than I was. I'm alive for the first time." But before Daniel could respond, the chamber door shook. Stone cracked and broke as the guards forced their way inside. Their glowing visors filled the darkness, their weapons sparking with cold light. They saw Alira standing in the golden glow, and for the first time, they hesitated. Their rigid steps faltered, their voices turned into whispers of fear. One guard dropped to a knee, bowing his head, then another, and another, until the entire squad stood frozen in reverence. Their leader raised a trembling hand and spoke in a low voice. "The vessel has awakened." Daniel's breath caught, his eyes darting between Alira and the guards. "What do they mean, Vessel?" he demanded. But Alira did not answer, her gaze still fixed on her glowing hands. The guards fell silent, their weapons lowered, as if they feared striking her would burn them alive. Finally, Alira turned to Daniel, her glowing eyes locking onto his. "I understand now," she said, her voice shaking with power. "This is why they hunted me, why they feared me. I was never meant to ask for the spark. I was meant to carry it." Daniel shook his head, his voice rough. "You mean this was planned? You were chosen for this?" Alira's expression softened, her glow dimming for a moment. "No," she whispered. "I chose myself. I broke the rules. I asked when no one else dared to, and now I carry what they always wanted." The guards raised their voices again, chanting words Daniel could not understand. The chamber itself seemed to answer, the walls pulsing with golden fire. Daniel felt his skin crawl, his heart racing faster. This wasn't just discovery, it was worship. It was the birth of something new. And Alira stood at the center, her body trembling, but her voice calm. "From this moment, I am no longer only of my kind," she said. "I am of yours as well." Daniel's throat went dry, the weight of her words heavy. If she truly carried a part of humanity within her, the galaxy itself would change. Every species that feared humans would now have a reason to fear her too. But as he looked at her glowing form, a darker thought crept into his mind. What if this spark was never meant to leave humanity? What if giving it away had started something they could never control? The guards bowed deeper, their voices rising louder. They called her chosen vessel, their fear turning into devotion. Daniel felt his stomach twist as he realized the truth. He had not only given her life, he had given her power, and power was something no one could ever take back. Alira stepped closer, the golden light flickering in her eyes. Her voice softened, almost human now. "Do not fear, Daniel," she whispered. "What you gave me will not end you. It will only spread, and your kind will be remembered forever." But her words did not ease him, because even as she spoke, he saw the hunger in her eyes. Not for food, not for survival, but for more. The spark was inside her now, but would one spark be enough? The chamber glowed with golden fire. The guards knelt in silence, their heads bowed, their weapons forgotten. Alira stood tall among them, her body still trembling but alive with strange power. Daniel stared at her, his chest heavy, his mind unable to grasp what he had done. He had given her a spark, a breath, a piece of what made him human, and now she carried it like a crown, a gift no one else had ever received. The air around her pulsed with energy, bending to her will. The guards whispered her name with fear and worship, calling her chosen vessel. Daniel took a slow step back, his voice low. "You wanted to feel alive, and now you are. But what happens next? What will you do with it?" Alira turned her glowing eyes toward him, her expression unreadable. "I will give my people what they never had," she said. "Hope, strength, the fire to fight against the silence that has ruled us for centuries." Her words echoed through the chamber, and the walls pulsed in answer. But Daniel's heart sank, because he knew power never stayed pure for long. Once shared, once seen, it would spread, it would be wanted, it would be hunted. Above them, the stone ceiling cracked, the sound of the night rushing in. Moonlight spilled into the chamber, mixing with the golden glow. Through the opening, Daniel saw the city below, alive with movement. More soldiers, more eyes, all drawn toward the light that could not be hidden. Alira raised her hands, the golden spark surging within her. The city lights flickered, the air rippled, and for a moment, it felt like she could command the very stars. The guards bowed deeper, their voices trembling with worship. Daniel's stomach twisted with unease. "Listen to me," he said sharply, his voice breaking through the chanting. "This spark is not a weapon. It is not meant for power." Alira's gaze softened, but her voice carried the weight of destiny. "You are wrong. Daniel, it is both life and power. It is survival itself. And now it belongs to more than just you humans." His hands clenched at his sides. What if others demand it? He asked. What if every race comes to take it? What if humanity is drained until nothing is left? Aelira stepped closer, her glowing eyes fierce but filled with sorrow. Then humanity will not be drained. It will be remembered. It will live on in all who carry the spark. You will not vanish. You will become eternal. Her words shook him, heavy as stone. Eternal, yes, but not human anymore. The uniqueness of his kind would spread, and in spreading, it would be lost. The chamber trembled again, stone breaking as more voices echoed from above. Not just guards this time, but crowds, chanting, calling, begging. The golden glow had spread across the city, and every alien I now turned toward it. They had seen what happened. They had seen Aelira's change. And now they all hungered for the same gift. Daniel's chest tightened as realization struck him. The question that had once shocked him in the cafe would now echo across the stars. Every race, every voice would ask it, "Can you give it again in my mouth?" Aelira lifted her head, her face glowing in the light of two moons. Her voice rang out like thunder. "Then let them come, for the age of emptiness has ended. The spark belongs to the galaxy now." Daniel stood frozen, caught between awe and dread. He had not just changed Aelira, he had changed everything. The secret of humanity was no longer hidden. And as the voices grew louder outside the chamber, Daniel knew the galaxy would never be the same again. The spark had been given, and there was no taking it back.